Pradeep, do you think that India could have done this at least? That tell Donald Trump that not to attack at least the ship in the territorial waters which are around the Indian Ocean, or they should have called back Iris Dana in their own boundaries so that US doesn't attack Iris Dana directly. At least that is the minimal thing which Prime Minister Modi could have done.
It's not about what should have been done. The question is what ought to be done. After 2013, when Dr. Manmohan Singh announced that India is the net security provider in Indian Ocean, it means that India will protect sea lanes. It meant that it will help in disaster and against piracy. It will help others with surveillance, and it will help smaller nations to have their vessels safe in that area. This was incumbent upon India. This is what was the stated position since 2013, since UPA time. This is US submarine attacking the Iranian vessel just outside Indian naval borders. But Indian security concerns are not limited to our naval borders. If you see the case of Bombay High, where we extract oil from sea, Bombay High is 100 nautical miles from the nearest Mumbai port,
Yes.
which is beyond our borders. So tomorrow, if China attacks Bombay High, can we say no? It's outside our borders. It's not our concern. Today we have allowed U.S. submarine to come into the area which is our next to our borders, which is part of our area of interest. Tomorrow Chinese submarines will also come.
Do you think that this also could be, I'm saying could be a case of the Indian government caught off guard? Obviously, the surveillance agreements which US and India have, they very well knew that there was a US submarine moving under the sea. And did the government not know that apparently they could have reacted in this manner? They could have attacked Iris Dana like this?
If Indian government was caught off guard, just a few kilometers from its official border, then it's a major security lapse, intelligence lapse. Then heads must roll, both at political level and military intelligence level.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. On the day of Holi, when India celebrated Holi, the Iran war took an unholy turn because the conflict reached the country's backyard when a sneaky US submarine torpedoed and sank a defenseless Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean, leaving over 80 sailors dead and 100 missing. The incident has drawn further scrutiny as the warship Iris Dana was returning after participating in two exercises organized by the Indian Navy. Now, India has received heavy criticism, with the Congress uh, calling it as India losing its influence in its own neighborhood. Now, we also have Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi also reacting to it. I would like to show you the tweet, what Araghchi has written. US has perpetrated an atrocity at sea 2,000 miles away from Iran's shores. Frigate Dana, a guest of India's Navy, I'm underlining this word, a guest of India's Navy, carrying almost 130 sailors, was struck in international waters without warning. Mark my words, US will come to bitterly regret precedent it has set. Now, there are lots of questions which people are asking on the social media as to why Prime Minister Modi didn't ask questions or didn't express displeasure to Donald Trump over the manner in which it reached almost on the boundaries of Indian Ocean. Many supporters of the BJP have been saying that this was not within our sphere of influence. This is what the BJP supporters have been saying, but there are lots of question marks when we talk about the sea partnership and the partnership within the region, how it evolves. Now, what I'm reading is that on the sixth day, today the war enters the sixth day, and for the first time today, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri has expressed condolence. He visited the Iranian embassy, and those pictures are out. We also saw Prime Minister Modi breaking his silence after a lot of criticism today for the first time. And this was because he met Finland President Alexander Stubb. And during that meeting, he has expressed his thoughts. And I'm just going to read out what exactly he said. He said that India believes in the rule of law, dialogue, and diplomacy. And he also said that no issue can be resolved through military conflict alone, and that New Delhi will continue to support the swift end of conflicts and every effort towards peace, whether it takes place in West Asia or Ukraine. Now, there are lots of criticisms coming in. I would like to show you what Admiral Arun Prakash has said in a TV interview to India Today. If we can have that graphic plate running as to what Admiral Arun Prakash said. He said that we must convey our displeasure to the US for bringing maritime warfare to our doorstep without informing us or taking us into confidence. It's an issue of concern. Now, there are several questions which Congress also has raised. I'll put out two tweets. The first one is that of Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. Let's have a play out of that, what exactly he has written. And there are some very important points which he has raised in his tweet, some bitter questions which obviously he has asked, and the government doesn't have any answers. What I'm told is that today, on the sixth day, if India is reacting, expressing a condolence, and the foreign secretary visiting the Iranian embassy, what does it go to show? Now, Mallikarjun Kharge says, point number one, I'm just reading out point by point. An Iranian ship, a guest of India, was returning unarmed from the International Fleet Review 2026, hosted by US, and was torpedoed in the Indian Ocean region. No statement of concern or condolence. PM Modi remains mute. So even though PM Modi has broken silence on the sixth day, he doesn't say a word about Iris Dana. Why lecture us on the doctrines of Mahasagar and India being a net security provider in the Indian Ocean region when you can't react on what is happening in your own backyard? Point number two, as many as 38 Indian flag commercial ships, along with 1,100 sailors, are stuck in Gulf of Hormuz. Indian sailors, including Captain Ashish Kumar, have reportedly died. Why is there no maritime rescue or relief operation in place? You say only 25 days of crude oil stocks left. With rising oil prices, what is our energy contingency plan, especially in the wake of Government of India virtually accepting the demand to stop import of Russian oil? What about the trade of other key commodities with the Gulf countries? There are crores of Indians in the Gulf region. Medical students are releasing desperate video messages seeking help. How is the Government of India securing their well-being? Is there any evacuation plan in place from the affected areas? Clearly, Modi ji's surrender is both political and moral. It demeans India's core national interests and destroys our foreign policy carefully and painstakingly built and followed by successive governments over the years. Let's put out the tweet of Rahul Gandhi and then we head straight into the discussion with our guest. Rahul Gandhi's tweet is also very pinpointed. He says the world has entered a volatile phase. Stormy seas lie ahead. India's oil supplies are under threat, with more than 40% of our imports transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The situation is even worse for LPG and LNG. The conflict has reached our backyard with an Iranian warship sunk in the Indian Ocean, yet the Prime Minister has said nothing. At a moment like this, we need a steady hand at the wheel. Instead, India has a compromised PM who has surrendered our strategic autonomy. So let's get straight into the discussion. So joining me this evening is Congress Admin in Charge and CWC member Gurdeep Sappal. Thank you so much, Gurdeep, for joining. And the first question is that this episode, which happened today of the Iranian ship Iris Dana, torpedoed by the US warship, the BJP supporters say that this did not happen within the sphere of our influence. What does this statement really go to show?
Thank you, Needu. This Iranian ship was participating in a naval exercise called Milan 2026. It went up to 25th February 2026, and only friendly nations were invited to it. So till 25th February, Iran was a friendly nation. Pakistan was not invited, China was not invited, Australia was invited, Germany was invited. So you have to understand, till 25th February, Iran was a friendly nation. Till 25th February, India was the net security provider in Indian Ocean, which meant that India would give security and stability to all the countries which are in the periphery of Indian Ocean, that India will give a disaster response in Indian Ocean, that India will give share intelligence in Indian Ocean, and it will intervene. This was also enumerated in Mahasagar vision of Prime Minister Modi. It started with UPA government when India started asserting its power in Indian Ocean waters. Anywhere, whenever there was a piracy, whenever there was a danger over any vessel, wherever there was any issue in that area, India always intervened because we said we are a superpower and we are the net security provider in Indian Ocean. Suddenly on 25th February, Prime Minister Modi visits Israel, and after that, there's a complete U-turn. Iran, which was a friendly nation till 25th February, is no more a friendly nation. We are standing with Israel and America in a war which has nothing to do with us. It's not our war. And second thing, we have suddenly given up on our claim to be a superpower in the Indian Ocean, which was providing security to all the nations in that area. And we are saying, oh, what can we do? We are a helpless nation, coming across as a helpless nation who has no role. So why this slide has happened? Prime Minister Modi has compromised not just on friendship with Iran, it has also compromised on India's status in the Indian Ocean. And now we come across like a helpless country. So this is a major matter of concern.
Gurdeep, do you think that India could have done this at least? That tell Donald Trump that not to attack at least the ship in the territorial waters which are around the Indian Ocean, or they should have called back Iris Dana in their own boundaries so that US doesn't attack Iris Dana directly. At least that is the minimal thing which Prime Minister Modi could have done.
It's not about what should have been done. The question is what ought to be done. After 2013, when Dr. Manmohan Singh announced that India is the net security provider in Indian Ocean, it means that India will protect sea lanes. It meant that it will help in disaster and against piracy. It will help others with surveillance, and it will help smaller nations to have their vessels safe in that area. This was incumbent upon India. This is what was the stated position since 2013, since UPA time. Now, in last few years, Modi government has signed 4 agreements with America. Two of these are Comcasa and Beka. What are these 2 agreements? These mandatorily ensure that US and India share all the intelligence data in real time. They share the intelligence data about movements, about whatever is happening in Indian Ocean waters and other places, and also geospatial intelligence. This is incumbent upon India and US to share with each other. Now, if US did not share this data, this intelligence about the movements of its own submarine, then it has violated those 2 agreements. So Indian government must raise the concern and express displeasure upon the violation of this agreement by US. It's a unilateral violation. If that happened, if USA did share the intelligence as there's an agreement, then Modi government has chosen not to use that intelligence and allow the Iranian vessel to be attacked by US, which is even worse because you had taken upon yourself. India is the net security provider in Indian Ocean. It's not limited to our water borders, naval borders. You
Can
see, so if we had intelligence about the movement of US submarine, why did Modi government not share it with the Iranian authorities? Why did it allow an attack to happen on the Iranian vessel? Either way, there's a problem.
No, but Gurdeep, can the government give itself a clean sheet by just saying that no, it has not happened within our territory, it hasn't happened within our sphere of influence, and by this, will they be given a clean sheet?
Number one, the sphere of influence is Indian Ocean, the entire Indian Ocean. That is what Mahasagar vision. Modi ji is very fond of naming those things. Dr. Manmohan Singh called it net security provider. He calls it Mahasagar vision.
No, if you
So
have
with
you
Mahasagar vision, The
But
entire Indian Ocean is area of influence of Indian government, number one. So you cannot say that we are not bothered with what is happening. B, this is US submarine attacking the Iranian vessel just outside Indian naval borders. But Indian security concerns are not limited to our naval borders. If you see the case of Bombay High, where we extract oil from sea, Bombay High is 100 nautical miles from the nearest Mumbai port,
yes,
which is beyond our borders. So tomorrow, if China attacks Bombay High, can we say no? It's outside our borders. It's not our concern. Today we have allowed US submarine to come into the area which is our next to our borders, which is part of our area of interest. Tomorrow Chinese submarines will also come. Today the law says if Chinese submarines and others come, they have to share the intelligence and movement. If we accept this, that American submarines can come and do whatever they want near our borders, then tomorrow who's going to stop China? Once you have compromised on a principle, how can you object to something similar happening in near Indian borders? It's a matter of grave national security concern. So we cannot say that we are not concerned. And B, as net security provider, we are also responsible for disaster management. Whenever there's a disaster, whenever there's an accident, whenever there's a piracy or something like that, Indian Navy steps in last since 2009 during UPA government, in more than 3,000 cases, the Indian Navy stepped in Indian Ocean. More than 3,000 cases. So we cannot today say that suddenly, oh, we'll not go into those waters because it doesn't concern us. It is simply that Prime Minister Modi is scared of USA. Prime Minister Modi has surrendered to USA, and he is not doing which is normally done by Indian Navy for last 15 to 20 years.
but what do you think that this also could be? I'm saying could be a case of the Indian government caught off guard. Obviously, the surveillance agreements which US and India have, they very well knew that there was a US submarine moving under the sea. And did the government not know that apparently they could have reacted in this manner? They could have attacked Iris Dana like this?
If Indian government was caught off guard just a few kilometers from its official border, then it's a major security lapse, intelligence lapse. Then heads must roll, both at political level and military intelligence level, establishment level. How can Indian government say that we were unaware? There's a war going in an area, you have been dragged in a war, and you say we were unaware. In this day and age, where you have agreements of sharing the intelligence with USA, is USA not following up on those agreements? Has it completely demolished India's stature as a sovereign nation? It doesn't even deem fit to follow up on its agreement and share intelligence with India. And what is India's own intelligence doing? A submarine stealthily comes into waters which are next to Indian border, and we are unaware. We are talking of national security. This time, the target was Iranian vessel. Iranian vessel is one thing. Iran was our guest, friendly nation. Modi has done a U-turn, surrendered on that front. That's one thing. Other thing is, it's a major intelligence failure. How does naval establishment be? How can naval establishment be unaware of what is happening right outside our borders? Especially when we are responsible for the entire Indian Ocean, and we are for last 15 years almost. We have been asserting our rights in the entire Indian Ocean, and the world has been accepting it. Suddenly you turn around and say, oh, we are no more superpower. We are no more responsible for Indian Ocean. We are only responsible for our own waters. Why has Modi surrendered the claim of India in the entire Indian Ocean? Then he has to answer this. You cannot have Indian government suddenly surrendering the claim of India and the role of India, which is of a superpower in the Indian Ocean, and confining yourself only to your waters. This is a major climbing down by the Modi government, and this is what the government has to be held accountable for this.
I don't know how this accountability is going to be held. Like, but what you said was very important, that heads must roll if they had this intelligence information, and even then they could not inform Iran. But coming to the relationship with Iran, Gurdeep, do you think that after this episode, will Iran ever trust India again?
As long as Narendra Modi is there, no country of the world is going to trust India again. Because Narendra Modi has given up of India's position as a sovereign nation which had its own voice in international affairs. This is a war between US, Israel, and Iran. It's not India's war. Yet Narendra Modi has taken a position that he is only with one side. And this position is abrupt. As I said, till 25th of February, the day he visited Israel, Iran was a friendly nation of India, participating in joint naval exercise. And within one day, without having any discussion in India, without taking parliament into confidence, a prime minister takes a unilateral U-turn, and suddenly India's position as an independent nation is compromised, and we are only seen as we are holding on to tailcoats of USA. So, what do you think? Will any nation take us seriously? Our guest, who was in India on Indian invitation as a friend, is attacked. Nearly 100 of their naval forces have died. And it is 1.5 days. Modi government has not even expressed any condolences.
No, even today there was no word on
So,
this.
so, so what is Modi afraid of? What will happen if India expresses condolences to those sailors who have died? What will happen? Will America nuke India? This is not a question of strength. It is a question of eroding moral strength of Narendra Modi. He does not have any moral strength to stand up to Trump and say what is to be said. It is the same Trump which has been humiliating India again and again in his current tenure. It is the same Trump who chained Indian illegal migrants and sent them back to India. It is the same Trump which has been mocking Narendra Modi that I can ruin his career. It is same Trump which slaps tariffs, highest tariffs on India. It is same Trump which says, I will not give you any tariff, but you have to give me tariff. Continuous insults. Trump has not proven to be a friend in last 1 year. Trump has been our worst adversary in last 1 year. He has been hitting India's economic interest. It has been hitting India's national pride. He has been putting our people in chains and sending them back. And Narendra Modi is siding with that Trump. He's siding with that Donald Trump. He's not spoken a single word in response to what Donald Trump has done in last 1 year, and still standing with them. So, do you think such a leadership will get any respectable response from the Committee of Nations, from international leadership? He's
Right.
not going to get any respect now. India, even when it was a poor country, even when it was not a nuclear power or a space power or an economic power, even then we had a voice. When wrong happened, we said there's wrong is happening. And that is why India had good relations with Israel, Philistine, Iran, Iraq, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, all at one time. That is why Indian workers and Indian economic interests were there in all these countries. It was not that we were sending our workers or we were having our projects uh, in one set of countries and we were not in other set of countries. We were there because we were seen as a moral force. We could talk to everyone at same time. Modi has surrendered that. And for what? It is very clear he's compromised. Otherwise, why has he surrendered? Why has he lost his voice? What would have today the foreign secretary goes and signs the condolence book after so many days because there was pressure. But why did India not condole the death of Ayatollah Khamenei when it happened?
No, but
Why
Gurdeep,
has
what did he
Narendra Modi
say?
lost his voice?
No, but Narendra Modi today on the sixth day of the war has said, even, I mean, only when the Finland president is in India, he says that India believes in rule of law, dialogue, and diplomacy. Now, what does he actually mean when you juxtapose it with what happened yesterday with Irene Dana?
Well, now these are all hollow words. Where is rule of law and diplomacy when you are just siding with one side, when it is not your war? Still, it's not India's war. Diplomacy means that you take a moral position and you use diplomatic channels to address both the sides when you are trying to negotiate. But when Narendra Modi has chosen one side over other, how can he play a diplomatic role now? How can India play a diplomatic role? By picking up your sides, Narendra Modi has already surrendered that role. So these are mere words now. These words do not carry any weight. These words only means that he is just giving headlines to the pliable Indian media. The international media and International Committee of Nations has stopped taking him seriously. And this is not happening for the first time. Let us recall when Operation Sindoor was going on. There was a voting. There was voting for the chair of Security Council. Pakistan was contesting it. 182 countries supported Pakistan and only 2 countries supported India against Pakistan.
Yeah.
Precisely at the time when 5 teams of senior leaders and parliamentarians were visiting various nations, putting out India's point of view. And all those nations vote for Pakistan as head of Security Council. This is a reality check. Let's not forget, it's not
Yeah.
too far in history which has happened. It's just few months back. And now he has just given up on India's strategic position in the Indian Ocean region, and also he has betrayed Iran as a friend. This was Iran. Iran was not just any other nation. You just see the map of Asia. Have you ever seen it? How do we go to Afghanistan? We have our interest in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
We cannot go through Pakistan. We cannot go through POK. We cannot go through China. The only route available was Iran. And now Iran, you have taken a position against Iran. Now India cannot even enter Afghanistan. India cannot take care of its interest in Afghanistan. There's no way, no route. You have just pushed your friendly borders by 4,000 kilometers away. What type of strategic planning is this? What type of diplomacy is this?
Right. So, two quick questions before I wind up the interview, Gurdeep. That do you think that Narendra Modi willingly has walked into Donald Trump and Netanyahu's trap because India wasn't dragged in the real sense into this Middle East turmoil, but now India is part of this.
Now we can say very clearly 2 things that happened were a precursor to this. One, when Sergio Gore and Paparo is the naval commander of the US Pacific Command. They visited our command center in Chandi Mandir near Chandigarh. And B, Prime Minister Modi went to Israel and suddenly he took a U-turn. How and why did Prime Minister of India take a U-turn without discussing it with anybody else? Part B, suddenly he picked up a phone in the first week of February, that was 2nd February, and surrendered India's trade interest to Trump. And on 2nd of February, he agreed that India will not buy Russian oil. This was on 2nd February. And Trump then set up a committee to monitor. Whereas in January, it was known that Trump is going to attack Iran. He is preparing. And the entire establishment, be it the Indian security establishment or the bureaucratic establishment, they knew very well that if and when this war happens, the Strait of Hormuz will be the first casualty. Iran will stop traffic from there. And knowing this very well, why did Narendra Modi sign up or agree to USA demand that India will not buy Russian oil? Knowing very well that in next few weeks, the situation can emerge, and it was very likely that it would emerge, that Strait of Hormuz will be closed and we will have an oil crisis. Yet Prime Minister Modi went and surrendered before Donald Trump. So these 3 things very clearly indicate that Prime Minister Modi is under pressure. He's compromised. He's trying to wriggle out some help from either Israel or Donald Trump. So first trade deal, and now India's strategic position and role in Indian Ocean, and our independent position in the world affairs. All three things he has surrendered in last 4 weeks.
But my last question to you, Gurdeep, is that since this entire crew, which was on board Dana, this Iranian warship, this was basically a ceremonial crew which was traveling. They were unarmed. Now, in the wake of this reality, if a torpedo was used by the US warship, and it has happened in the knowledge of, we are presuming that it has happened in the knowledge of India, because India very well knew that there was a US submarine floating under Indian Ocean. Do you think that this is tantamount to a crime which cannot be pardoned ever in life?
I'm not talking of moral position here. And I'm not saying whether India knew or didn't know. If India didn't know, it's a violation of agreements signed with USA. If India did not know, it's a abject failure of our intelligence that we did not know what is happening right near next to our borders. And if India knew, it allowed that attack to happen on Iranian vessel. All three situations are unpardonable. And I'll not be surprised if under the international law, once the war is over, even Indian government is pulled up in the International Court of Justice at Hague, because this is not what we are supposed to do.
Yeah.
We may come to that. So, A, Donald Trump, if he has violated the agreement, we are not expressing any displeasure as a country. B, if Donald Trump has violated the agreement, what was our intelligence doing? C, if he has not violated the agreement and has given us intelligence beforehand, then why did India not share it with Iran? Because Iran was on a peace mission. It was a peacetime journey to India. On India's invite, that vessel was guest of India, and we
Right.
allowed that vessel to be sunk. In
The most
any
important
situation, we cannot exonerate the Modi government of the guilt that has been there, the crime that has been there.
the most important point which you made towards the end was that post this Iran-Israel war, India could face a trial at Hague. That's what you're saying.
Well, this is not improbable now, because
Yes.
because because once you took up a the role of net security provider in Indian Ocean, then you are supposed to give that security to Iranian vessel, because India has taken up that role, and that role has been granted by the international community to India,
That's true.
because India was seen as a powerful naval force in Indian Ocean. It's not that we were offering that without any reason. As in 2008, since 2008, almost 100 warships have been deployed in Indian Ocean in international waters. Why were they deployed if we had nothing to do with it? So since 2008, we have helped some 3,000 vessels in Indian Oceans, in international waters, and suddenly in this one case, we are saying we are not bothered. So we have given up on our claim built since 2008. Why has Narendra Modi let government of India's claim as a superpower in Indian Ocean go away like this? It's an abject failure. We are coming across as a helpless, weak nation out of this. We were supposed to protect, and we were also supposed to do humanitarian aid once it was attacked. And we are also supposed to raise it with USA that how can you target a friend which was here on our invite, which was not on a military mission.
Right.
It's not a
So we
moral question. It's a
right.
strategic question. It's a question of national importance.
Right. And I hope Prime Minister Modi is able to give these answers. Well, that's a question which remains. But today, on the sixth day of the war, he's chosen to say that India believes in dialogue and diplomacy. And on the sixth day, we have Vikram Misri signing the condolence book as far as Khamenei's murder is concerned. So there are whole lots of questions which still remain as far as this US, Israel, and Iran war is concerned. Thank you so much, Gurdeep, for joining on HW News. Thank you.